皆さん、こんにちは。あきえです。今日はなぜ指輪物語、力の指輪シリーズが海外で炎上していた理由を説明する動画の、パート6ね。今回は最後の動画にするつもりだ。多分これ以外に他に話すことはないので、このパートは最後。じゃあ始めようかな。まずは今回の話題は一つだけにしてみたんだ。指輪物語の大ファンですか今回は、大ファンハテナという、その話題についてですね。アマゾンはこの番組のために宣伝の動画をいろいろ出していたんだけど、でその動画は、いろんなバージョンがあって、英語版とかドイツ語版とかスペイン語版とか、いろいろ同じような動画があって、でその動画に登場していたのは、インフルエンサーなんだね。YouTuber とか、Instagram で投稿している人とか、そういう人が、そういう Amazon の動画に、登場していたんだね。いろんなね、英語版にイギリス人とか、そういうインフルエンサーがいて、ドイツ語版にドイツ人のインフルエンサーもいて、同じ動画をいろんな国に向けた PV を作っていた。で、動画のタイトルに、トールキンの大ファン、スーパーファンと、書いてあった。大ファンと、そういうタイトルで大ファンだと言っていたんだ。指輪物語の大ファンが見てどう反応するかとか、そういう感じだった。で、Amazon はそういうインフルエンサーを、どこだったか覚えてないけど、あるところに招待して飛行機で旅する、そういうのを払っていろんなインフルエンサーを招待したんだ。番組の予告を見るために、招待して Amazon はみんなの反応を撮って、動画にするとか、そういう感じなんだね。お城の中にとか、それまでそういう豪華なところとか、そういう風にしたんだね。で、実際のね、予告とか PV を見たトールキンのファンはみんなが何を言ってるか翻訳したり、そういうのをして、みんなが分かったのは、このインフルエンサーたち、彼らね、トールキンの世界についてあんま何も知らないみたいなね。ジャクソン版の映画の、そういうネタについて話したり、本に書いてあるものはあまり知らなくて、それにね、ジャクソン版の映画でもはっきりと説明されたものを完全に間違えて、この人たち、本当に大ファンですかアマゾンから見ると彼らは大ファンなのかなそれにね、インフルエンサーの見た目はあんまりトルキンのファンらしくなくて、見た目は別に大事じゃないけど、なんだかトルキンの大ファンに見えないねこの雰囲気だとみんな若かったよね。でトルキンの作品は結構古いから、もうちょっと年上の大ファンがいてもおかしくないから、まるで Amazon はTikTok のトレンドとかそういうばかりのを見て、そういう超若い人ばかりを招待して、みんなの格好はあまり、数人ぐらいはそれっぽいかもしれないけど、トールキンの大ファンにとても見えなかった。あくまで見た目はそんなに大事じゃないけど、言ってることはこの人たち指輪物語について何も知らないんだねちょっとダメな状態になっちゃって、で、ある人はこのインフルエンサーたちのチャンネルで指輪物語についての動画を、投稿したのかと、確認したときに、一つもなかったとか、そういう指輪物語とか、トルキンの作品についての動画はね、一つぐらいとか一つもなかったとか、そういう感じだった。それにね、ある人は、トルキンが大好きだけど、今回で初めて共感できたとか、そういうふうなことを言っていたんだけど、そのインフルエンサーの中で一人とか言っていたんだけど、その動画を見ていたトルキンのファンは、今回で初めて共感できたなら、今までどうやって大ファンになれたのと、そういうふうなことを思っていたね。前に言った通りに、指輪物語のね、ストーリーをあんま知らなくてね、Amazon の PV を見て翻訳していた人のそういうコメントによると、本当にね、原作のストーリー全く知らない人ばかりで、数人ぐらい原作の話をしていたけど、ほとんどは全く何も知らない人ばかりで大ファンなの例えば一つの動画は力の指輪、複数機一つの指輪じゃなくて エルフに与えられたとか人間に与えられた、そっちの方の力の指輪は、ドイツ語版だったっけ、覚えてないけど、一つのグループはねそれについて話していたんだけど、力の指輪は5つぐらいあって、それぞれの種族に与えられた5つの種族に与えられたと思っていたそういうエルフとかそれだけじゃなくてオークにも一つ与えられたと思ってオークはサウロンの部下だからいらないでしょ力の指輪。サウロンは一つの指輪持ってるからオークにそういう力の指輪いらないもしね、指輪物語の本一度も読んだことがなくても、ジャクソン版の映画のね、旅の仲間の映画のイントロを見れば完全に間違ってると分かる
3 were given to the elves, 7 to the dwarf lords, 9 rings were gifted to the race of men.
で、ある人たち、アマゾンの大ファンの動画にいた人たちは、数人はこの番組でナズグルを見たいと言っていたけど指輪物語についてやっぱり何も知らないんだねもし知っていたらそれは無理だと分かる私でもなんで無理なのか分かるから本を読まなくてもジャクソン版の映画で、はっきりとそういう説明があった。ナズグルは、かつて人間の王だった王様が与えられた力の指輪に汚職されたんだよね。つまりそういう人間の王様たちが力の指輪を、もらうまではナズグルになれないから、それにこの番組は、この力の指輪の番組はね力の指輪はまだ作られてない時期だからナズグルが番組に登場できないそんなはずないでしょ私でもわかるよそれぐらいとにかく予告を見るためにインフルエンサーたちがそういう大きなお城に、招待されて CM で周りを見てわーとか、そういうすごいところだねみたいなそういう反応していて、予告を見るために椅子に座って、楽しんでるみたいで、面白そうとか、そういう表情をしていたね。前に言った通りにいろんなバージョンがあって、そういうスペイン向けとかドイツ向けとかオランダ向けとか、イギリス向けとか、いろんなバージョンがあるんですけど、でそれぞれの動画にインフルエンサーたちは全く同じことをやっていて、同じことに全く同じ反応をしていて、時々全く同じ時に反応していたんだ。他のインフルエンサーたちねそれぞれの動画に全く同じタイミングと反応があった。まるで演技をしていたような感じで、本物の反応の感じがしなかった。そういう作られた反応とかそういう感じでね、確かドイツ語版だったっけ、一つのグループはまるで自分がプロの俳優になれたような気分だとか、そんなこと言ってとやっぱり作られたんだねいや、本物のファンがねこういう動画を見て、やっぱりリスモノ臭くて全然本物に見えなくて、イライラするよね一人も指輪物語に詳しくない人ばかりでちょっとイライラするとか本物のファンじゃなくてアマゾンにお金をもらったインフルエンサーとか、そういうドイツ語版の動画によると、彼らは少なくとも予告を3回も見たらしい。そういうテイク1、テイク2、テイク3とか、そういう感じでいろいろバラしちゃって食べ物をね無料でたくさん食べて、アルコールもたくさん飲んで食べ放題とか飲み放題とか、もしかして酔っ払ってたのかなCM で全体的にその大ファンの動画はすごい脚本が書かれたような感じで、演技のねそういう感じがあって、本物じゃないよね。本物の指輪物語のファンの反応じゃないんだ。それに同じ動画にそういう同じセリフが何回もそういうテイクがあったように見えて、そういうトークパートのところでね、その PV にそういう反応パートとトークパートがあって、そういうトークパートにそういうこれさっきのセリフと同じと気づいて、そういう2つのテイクがあったみたいなセリフは、この番組を見たらいろんな人はサウロンのことはすごくセクシーと思うでしょうねとか、そういう話をそういう2回もね、2つのテイクがあって2つのテイクがあるなら Amazon は本当に私たちの 作ったサウナとてもセクシーだよとか、そういうめちゃくちゃアピールしたいとかで、番組が公開された後、ここでちょっとネタバレ注意。もし番組を見たい人がもしいるなら、ここからはちょっとネタバレの話をするけど、そういうネタバレを聞きたくない人は、動画をここで止めてとにかく番組が公開された後に、サウロンの正体ね、実は春ブランドはサウロンだったとか、そういうねそうだったんだけど、で私自身は番組を見てなかったけど、他人の動画を見て番組について話したり、そういう短いシーンを見せて、こういうシーンに、これがあったとか、そういう動画を、ちょっとだけ見たんだけど、でハルブランドのね、そういうシーンを見た時にその他人の動画によると、ハルブランドはサウロンだという、ヒントを、そういう番組にずっとうざいぐらいこいつだよとか、そういうヒントが出していてうるさいんだとかでずっとハルブランドの、そのキャラをすごくセクシーな男だと見せようとしていて、ダサそこに集中しすぎて逆にうざいとかなんだったっけ、一つのシーンに彼の、濡れた髪を手でそういうまるでシャンプーのコマーシャルみたいにそういうセクシーポーズとかはっきり言うとまるでハルブランドのキャラで、ジャクソン版のアラゴルンのそういう人気さをコピーしようとしていたような感じで、でもそもそもなんでアラゴルンは人気なのか、その理由を全く分かってない状態でコピペしようとしていた感じで全然ダメハルブランドは、セクシーさはそういう見た目だけに関してそういうね、見てこの男セクシーだろとかそういうアピールしすぎる感じがして、ジャクソン版ではそういうのが なかった。そういうアルコールはそういううざいポーズとかそういうしなかったし、確かにジャクソン版のねアルゴルンは確かにハンサムで、そういうキャラなんだけど、彼がセクシーと思ってる理由はそういう見た目だけじゃないんだ目立ってるポーズとか動きで自分がどれだけセクシーなのかアピールしてるシーンは全くないからアルゴルンは、セクシーと、多くの人は思ってる理由は、彼は決して諦めなかった男だったからね、最悪の状況になっても彼は決して、諦めて逃げたことをしなかった。いつもね自分の命を、捨てるというか周りの人を助けるためにこれで死ぬと分かっていても死ぬと分かって逃げた選択肢があっても彼は残った。みんなを守るために残ったんだよね。そうする必要は全く なかったのに、彼的にね必要は なかったのに彼はそれでも残るとそういう選択肢を、選んだ。だから彼はセクシーというイメージがあるね。見た目だけじゃないんだ。私はシャンプーのコマーシャルのセクシーなとこだとかそういう感じじゃないんだからハルブランドでアルゴルンの見た目をコピペしてそういう中身を空っぽ状態でそんなに自分がセクシーとアピールする必要があるならあなたはね全然セクシーじゃないよアマゾンは、自分のキャラはクールでセクシーと見せようとしていたんだけど、なんでジャクソン版のキャラはそんなに人気なのか、そんなにクールでセクシーと思っている理由が全くわからない状態でね、もうダメ始まりでもうダメ物語ストーリーのテーマとか、その本質をわからなかった状態でジャクソン版と同じレベルのものをまるで映像でショートカットをしようとしていて、近道をたどるような感じで努力なしでそういう同じ結果にしようとしていて、素晴らしい物語を作れない作り方そういう見た目ばかりに集中しているんだから、そういうね物語ストーリーが空っぽならそういうキャラパッケージの、見た目がいいけど中身は空っぽとか、そういう感じ。とにかくまた大ファンのねそういう動画についての話に戻ると、実はね私はね元々の英語版のそういう大ファンの番組の動画を見れなかったんだけど、見れなかった理由はねAmazon は英語版の動画を非公開状態にしたので確認できなかったんだよね。当時に公開された時に少し見たけど、大体どういう感じだったか覚え ているけど、リンクはどこにあるのかわからないので今は見れないんだけど、Amazon はなんで非公開にしたんだろうねと、いろんな人はその話題について話していたんだけど、で、その動画も予告と同じように、好評と批評のね、そのバッドボタンの数がね、グッドより何倍も多くて、もしかして Amazon はそれのことを気にして恥ずかしすぎて隠したのかとかはそう言っていた人もいたんだけど、しかし他の国の大ファン動画を非公開にしなかった、英語版だけを非公開にしたので、どれも批評ね、バッドボタンの方がはるかに多かったので、多分その理由で隠していなかったと思う。じゃあなんで英語版だけを非公開にしたのかなとね、みんなどう思うどう思う本当にバッドボタンのね、数が多くて、そのせいで非公開にしたのか、そうだとしたら、メイントレーラー予告もね、非公開にしたんでしょうけど、そうしなかったよね。違う理由で非公開にしたんだね。何の理由かわかるかな？恥ずかしいから非公開にしたのか？それもね、理由の一部とも言えるでしょうね。でもそれもちょっと違う。じゃあ間違いをしたから、それも理由の一つと言えるけど、恥ずかしい間違いがあったかな非公開された本当の理由はね、多分だけど、大ファンの動画にそういうこの大きな丸いアーチ、ちょっと指輪に見る何かあれの方へ向かっていた時に、後ろの方へ進んでいた時に、背景をよく見ると、その右上の方に立ち話してる人がいる誰もチェックしなかったのいや本当にバカバカしい話に聞こえるかもしれないけど、Amazon は作ってるものの質をね、確認しないと、はっきりと分かって、本当に誰もチェックしなかったんだねとすぐ分かる。もうこの番組の PV がこれほどひどい質なの、もしかすると番組自体もひどい質になるのかなと、そういう印象を与えたね。CM で立ち話してる人いるからもうこんなひどい質これほどひどくなったら番組もね、同じぐらいひどいものになるんじゃないAmazon のね、制作番組を作るとね、質が悪いという、印象を与えたんだよね。じゃあ今回の動画はこれで終わりなのかな。いつも通りここからは他人の動画を使って翻訳して、彼らの動画の方にもうちょっとそういう映像とかね、私のトークよりも分かりやすいから、そういうこういう見た目をしていて、こういう反応していてとか、そういう非公開の動画のシーンも使っていたから私は見れなかったけど、大ファンの動画はどれぐらい、ちょっと恥ずかしい見てて恥ずかしくなるとか、そういう気分になった多くの人とにかくこのシリーズはこの動画で終わりなので、この指輪物語ね、解説シリーズが終わったので、ジョニー・デイ裁判の動画にまた作り始めようかなシリーズも結構時間かかるけどね、すぐに動画を期待しないでね本当に今回の動画も、今までのね動画も見て本当にご視聴ありがとうございました。それ以外に私も今別の解説動画シリーズを作っているけど、そっちのシリーズは多分何ヶ月もかかると思うけど、多分今年に公開するいやそっちのシリーズに今力を入れてるんだけど、何ヶ月もかかるのですぐにウープしないけど、毎日、動画制作シリーズを作ってるね。少しずつ進んでるね。今回の動画はこれで終わりなので、また次回の動画で会いましょうね。それじゃ、またね。
I did a video yesterday on the Lord of the Rings super fans and how they weren't particularly super. Yeah, let's say that. Let's be kind, shall we? But I kept getting comments about, oh yeah, they did one of these in my country, and it was cringe, but it wasn't as bad as this. And I'm like, hang on. They've done more of these? I have got to see those. I collected all of the different fan reactions that I could find. And as I'm watching them, I'm like, hang on, I've seen these before. And I don't mean the Lord of the Rings bit, I mean the entire thing. They're all identical. I don't just mean edited the same, I mean even down to the people in them. You've probably heard of the movie Straight Outta Compton. Well, these people all look straight out of California. Honestly, when you've travelled the world finding people that could all fit into one little place on Earth is, it's pretty impressive, it is. As you can see here, we're going to watch them all at the same time, and they're all timed together. I didn't do anything to these, I just cut them up at the same time, they're all the same length, and this is how they show them. So, we start off with the standard bit, and we want to get into the fan reaction. Oh my god! Oh, there's a boat, and everyone's staring at the screen, and what I want you to pay attention to now is how things change. Because I'm pretty sure they watched this trailer more than once, and they were definitely told to do for different things. It's going to get a little bit weird. So, we're all watching it, everyone's kind of subdued, and oh my god, I can't believe this! And as we move on, we go to the normal footage, and this is a different time, right? Notice how before, no one had anything. It was all, oh no, we're really subdued, paying attention to the trailer, and then, just a few seconds later, out come the phones. Look, there's no way on earth that the audience was all really paying attention, and then just all at the same time decided to get out their phones and start staring around at everything else. So it is like they told at one point, no, we want you to go through and we want you to do this really somber and impressive and make sure you're all paying attention to it. And then in the next one, we all want you really hyped all the way through, and then on the third, if you can go through and all watch it through your phone, that'll be cool. I don't know what's going on. So, yeah, there's the castle, little impressive bit. Now, we're all walking up the stairs, and there's a door in front of us. Normally, when you open a door, you go through it, but these people don't. No, we're all going to pause at the door at the same time. Now, admittedly, there is a camera in their face. Each one of these has been filmed in its own little scene, so that they could all time it perfectly, get the camera into the correct position. Oh, now walk through the next bit. None of this is legitimate. None of this is a normal reaction. As they're setting this up, they've definitely seen the castle, and they're not amazed by it. It's completely and utterly fake, scripted, and set up. And so we're going through, oh, look, we're going to look over there and point around. And then we all move through at the same time again. Stop, pause, look around, grab our friends. It's so exciting. Oh, it's so exciting. Have you ever done that? Have you ever walked into a room with anybody and just, oh my god, look, 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 look. Like, no, he's got eyes. It's fine. This guy looks physically asleep. Like, he passed out. It's a bit weird, but he might be looking at his phone down here. I'm not sure. But he does kind of look like he's just fallen asleep when he's watching it. And you got this guy rocking out, looks like he's been electrocuted, normal reaction, and then my favourite of all of them, this lady here. It's genius, isn't it? Everybody else interested in the trailer, she doesn't give a like, she's turned around, completely ignoring the trailer, looking at her phone behind her, and do you know what she's doing? Could you see? If I zoom in on her little phone over here, she's actually filming behind her. She's not even filming the screen. She's turned her camera and her own face away from the trailer. The special trailer that she's been shipped out to go and watch doesn't care in the least. No, the sheer level of disrespect to get shipped out on a paid holiday to specifically go and watch a single minute of footage, and even during that minute you just turn around and completely ignore it. Gold. Absolute gold. Notice, no phones again. No phones. It's almost like they did one without phones and then told them to use phones the second time and started editing together. Or the only other explanation is that none of them had phones, and then at some point all of them, without any kind of communication from anyone else, just like, yeah, we all get our phones now. Oh. The only explanation for this is that it was all directed and they were all specifically told what they can do at every moment. Don't watch phones. Now be happy. Now film it on your phones, folks. It's directed, scripted, and solved. That's all it is. The entire thing is fake from start to finish.
Here we have a bunch of superfans, supposedly, right? What do we see here? Well, we've got the one guy who's like, oh my god, Elrond is so hot. Oh my god, it's going to be, and everyone on here is like, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be the best show ever. I don't see anybody here who's over 30, and we just, basically what we're seeing is a group of young superfans who are just oohing and awing over how amazing the trailer was and how diverse the cast is and how this show is going to be the best show ever because it's got young hot Elrond and this diverse cast of people that can identify with and so on and so forth. And again, this has nothing to do with the actual, source material. This is all about Amazon and their new cast and what they're doing, writing the novel that Tolkien ever wrote, and then paying these individuals to be in a video to ooh and awe over how amazing this is. Now, this video in and of itself, this has the Lord of the Rings fan base in an uproar because these people do not represent the vast majority of actual Tolkien superfans who have been following these books for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, who know the source material, who love the source material, and who feel like Amazon is gutting this. It's just so obviously fake that if we go back to this one in particular, has more likes than the other one, but it also has a lot more views. This has about 27,000 views, a little bit more likes, etc., than the English version, which only has 10,005 views and 88 likes, which is why they've pulled it and made it unlisted, because this version is so disliked by everyone on the internet that they've made it unlisted now because they don't want it to be shown on their channel, because it's embarrassing. This is an embarrassment to Amazon that they're not getting the reaction that they wanted out of people. It just goes to show you the power of the Tolkien fan base, that we're not going to put up for these kind of shenanigans regarding a piece of property that we all know and love. So again, no offense to any of the actors in these videos. I do not think these are actual super fans. I really don't. I think these are paid actors. That's my opinion only. I might be proven wrong on that, but in my opinion, these are actors that were paid to sit down on the screen and ooh and ah over what amazing characters and what an amazing range of diverse cast members we're going to have, and we're going to get the representation that we interpret as the best for Tolkien. No offense to these actors, they did what they were supposed to do, which is talk about this upcoming show. But as we can see around the world, the Tolkien fans are not reacting in a positive manner. The UK one was bad enough, but then when Chris showed me the one in Spanish, I was like, oh my God, they're doing the same thing in different languages. This is amazing. This is the most brilliant marketing strategy I've ever seen. But it also just goes to show you how desperate Amazon is to convince you that their show is going to be the best Tolkien show ever, because of how diverse and woke it is, and how everyone's going to feel included, because it's Tolkien for everybody. Yay!
Let's let our super fans in this unlisted video introduce themselves.
My name's Mr. Isla, and I'm here with the Fellowship of Influencers, Chanel, Joel, and Kelsey.
I'm sorry, the Fellowship of Influencers. Now, before we get started breaking down probably the most cringe video I've ever seen and prepare for every muscle in your body to cringe, I went to all of these super fans' respective YouTube channels and searched Lord of the Rings, LOTR, and Tolkien. And because the YouTube search function absolutely sucks when it comes to channels, I did some more digging and found absolutely nothing. Yes, 3 videos came up and they didn't talk about Tolkien, The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, The Silmarillion, or even Amazon's The Rings of Power.
And it's gonna be so amazing. I also wanna say representative, because we're getting like more diversity within this series. Like, we're seeing our first black elf, we're seeing the first female dwarf.
So the first thing this super fan brings up is representation, and the first black elf and the first black female dwarf. Listen, Amazon knows they're getting absolutely destroyed on this. The fan attacks through their willing and able partners in the access media and the shill content creators and the shill fan sites have not been enough to fight off a storm that we have not seen before. Both the UK and the American trailer have been ratioed with no end in sight, and Amazon has been unlisting videos, including this one. We are 3 minutes and 38 seconds into this video, and we have only heard one name from the story, Sauron, but we have heard breathtaking, representative, first female dwarf, first black elf, first black elf again, first black female dwarf again, diversity being explored. Tolkien was always about inclusivity, representation, much more diversity, not many women, they don't talk to each other, more female representation.
Either like my disability or my queerness wasn't represented.
Now, I did hear some scuttlebutt that there might be some actual LGBTQ plus representation in the works of Tolkien, which, but on the note of not having your disability represented, well, actually it was in the Peter Jackson films. Look at Gothmog. He's got a disability and he's commanding legions. Anybody can be a fan as long as they want to be a fan, but if you need to fundamentally change something to like it, then you're not a fan.
Every time I look at something, it looks like it could be improved. You know, there's something wrong with it.
Now, that was obviously in reference to something else, but it's also obviously what they think they are doing. They think they are improving on Tolkien, the man who thought about this story his entire life. Remember this from Lindsay Weber, the executive producer of The Rings of Power and former Bad Reboot employee. It felt only natural to us that an adaptation of Tolkien's work would reflect what the world actually looks like.
In terms of the thematic material, we didn't want to put any of our own baggage. I mean, we had no interest in putting our messages into this movie, but we thought that we should honor Tolkien by putting his messages into it. And we thought he cared about things. The countryside and the rise of evil, and he cared passionately about certain issues. And we thought what we should do to honor him is to make sure that what he cared about ends up in the movie. That's what we tried to do.
Those prophetic words from Peter Jackson 20 years ago are just as applicable now as they were then, and they are echoed in this epic comment section. I'm sure these influencers' opinion of the trailer is not affected by being invited by Amazon. Totally genuine reactions. Inviting people to react to your marketing is such cringe. Hope this show fails and drags this studio to the deeps of Moria. I did not expect this at all. This is them taking a stance and naming the video Superfans as if to mock the idea of a Tolkien reader. Wow, I'm stunned. They're actually warning us that this is going to get worse from Clown of the Times. And this feels like one of those real people, not actors, wink, wink commercials. And Jason B., I'm just going to read the first part here. So basically, to gaslight fans, you all host a panel of influencers calling them superfans, despite them having no involvement in the Tolkien community or fellowship. You could have chosen scholars. I wouldn't have. Tolkien Society members. Maybe not. Actual fan club sites. Okay. But no, you all saw how bad the backlash was, and now you're pretending like people actually like this to save face. Yes, that's exactly what they're doing. Amazon is mocking millions of Lord of the Rings fans. It's so disgusting, and they are paying for it. When representation is more important than story, you know it's the end of the line for whatever franchise it happens to. Star Wars, Star Trek, Doctor Who, etc. Get woke, go broke. Leave it to the Lord of the Rings fandom to create a white pill moment. And yes, that's exactly what this is. People are finally fed up. Again, from all makes, shapes, and sizes, and that's inspiring. They fought off multiple fan attacks easily. Videos have been unlisted by Amazon. The Amazon UK trailer is ratioed. The American trailer is ratioed. And this cringe video ended up proving all of our points that Lord of the Rings was already inclusive and accessible. And the one thing that has absolutely ruined fandom, without a doubt, again, is activism.
But I think what's funny about this is this apparently comes from superfans. Superfans that don't know anything about Tolkien. Don't know anything about the origins of the lore. And this is them basically saying, yeah, we love the fact that, you know, you've swapped out everything for reasons, right? And what I mean by that is, of course, like Tolkien based this on Europe and Britain, very specifically, to give Britain, that's what he believed in, to give Britain like a sort of a myth and a legend unto their own. You know, we wouldn't go to Africa and go, right, let's take your myth and legend and chuck a bunch of white people in it, right? Like that's just stupid. But then in Western society, that's, you know, that's the rules we live by for some bizarre, strange reason. I also want to say representative, because we're getting like more diversity within this series. But then again, just, you like, humour me. You're a super fan. Why were you a fan before this? You know, did you need the diversity to be a super fan? Like, humour me and answer that question. You know, do you need that to be a super fan? Because apparently you're already a super fan. So you didn't need it before, did you? So why do you need it now? Odd. Really odd. Like, we're seeing our first black elf. We're seeing the first female dwarf. Without a beard, you super fan, douche. I'm very looking forward to looking at that. I mean, it just sounds scripted as well. And then I guess, like, intriguing, because obviously this period of history within the Middle-earth is very rife with notions of the plot of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, and seeing how the Rings of Power are being forged. What? And I guess, like, intriguing, because obviously this period of history within the Middle-earth is very rife with notions of the plot of The Hobbit. No, it's not. What are you on about? That doesn't even make any sense. Now, diversity, especially on screen as an actor, means a lot to me growing up. I hardly saw that watching TV and watching a lot of films and stuff. I never saw people of my colour, so it's exciting to see that diversity is being explored in the Rings of Power. Why does it need to be? Is this not a story about the Rings of Power? Why do we need to explore diversity within that story? Could there not be, ladies and gents, an African myth and legend which we could bring to Amazon Prime that would be fantastic for diversity? Is there not? I'm sure that... I mean, there is. I mean, it's a rhetorical question. Fucking course there is. So why do we need to explore diversity in something which was, you know, very Anglophile, right? Like, I'm confused. Why does everything have to be a vehicle for diversity? Why? Especially when there's a reason behind it. Like, there's a reason why it wasn't in there. So it's disrespectful to the author, disrespectful to the lore. But remember, these are super fans, ladies and gents. And just seeing the casting decisions, it's really, really exciting to see. It's just going to mean so much to me personally, because it's getting that representation in Middle-earth. I mean, are you for real? It's going to mean so much to me because I'm going to get representation in Middle-earth, a fictional bloody location, based on, you know, sort of Roman Empire-ish, pre-Europe. Do you know what I mean? Like, what? What is going on? These people. Ah, it's so sad. Young kids are going to see that on screen, and it's going to be really nice for them to be like, oh, hey, there's someone that looks just like me at being an elf and a dwarf. Do these people really hear themselves? Oh my god. Next you're going to be like, right, we need gay rocks and gay plants, because we really need representation in everything. Some things you don't have to see it. Like, not in everything, guys. In the original film series, which I absolutely adored, there you go, so you loved it, but there are not many women in it. Yes, there is. And they're all amazing. They all kick ass. All of the women in the original films kick ass. And the three women who are in it never speak to one another. Why do all the women need to speak to one another? What? These people are like mentally defective. So it'll be so cool to be able to see more female representation. You got three females, but apparently it's not representative because they're not chit-chatting to one another. I mean, what kind of representation do you want? Do they need to just sit around having a chinwag? Getting their nails done? Like what you did? To maybe see them actually interact with one another. Very excited to see it. You're an idiot. Williams and Ellison would also express that they want to know what's actually happening. Where are they? Who's involved? And Ellison even asks, why are people fighting and what for? So you should know this, you bunch of idiots. Ironically, after putting the focus on real-world identity politics, Isla does state, you're just going to be transported to another world and you're just going to forget your own for the whole time you're going to watch it. No, you're not, because you need to see everything that you see in the shows that you watch, because you're all apparently mentally defective somehow.
You had these four people who are brought on as like experts of Tolkien. I looked these people up. So none of them, even the book professional, the guy who was the reviewer, like he has a Goodreads profile. So I'm like, okay, he must have this whole catalog of Tolkien. Under one category, he has Tolkien. Under, I might read the Silmarillion. That's it. So none of these people know anything about Tolkien. One of them is a TikToker who does like Harry Potter memes. So that shows you that Amazon has absolutely no respect for the lore. They started talking about the diversity and the inclusion, and here's a bit that really shocked me, is they all, at one point, I love Tolkien, but it's the first time the first time that there's someone on screen that looks like him. I'm like,
I didn't
okay,
make
wait
it
a
that
minute.
far.
So I'm sitting there going, how the hell does she love Tolkien if she's never had anyone representing her?
You have these stars from these Marvel movies, and they're all about like pushing the diversity. Like, I've been a Marvel fan my whole life, and now I can finally connect with a character. Like, wait a minute, how can you be a fan your whole life, but you've never connected to a character? You're either lying about being a fan, or you're lying about never being connected to a character. Either way, you're lying.
There's always a but with these activist fucks because they're not actually fans. I've always loved Star Wars, but I never really felt represented because there weren't any trans people in it. Then you didn't fucking love Star Wars. Like that's the bottom line. If you need to see something else, if you need the property to change, then you never fucking loved it. That's the truth. That's what it means. She even said it, the phrase. I've always been a big J.R.R. Tolkien fan. I've always loved Lord of the Rings, but I never felt like there were enough female characters. Fuck you. Then you didn't love it.
But how pathetic of a person are you that you need to see yourself on screen? My father taught us to be proud of who we are. I didn't need to see myself on screen to be proud of being Egyptian American, being a Muslim. You're pathetic then. You're so pathetic. You need to be reaffirmed by what you see on screen.
The greatest thing about what Amazon did is they united all of the fans around the world.
You're not dealing with rational, well-meaning people. You're dealing with people that only seek to hijack shit, and then they move on to the next project and they do the same fucking thing. And this unorganic shit video that I saw, the super fan deal, anybody could tell from a mile away these guys probably never fucking read a Tolkien book in their fucking life. All of them were actors. That context does matter. That's Amazon giving him the line saying, this is what we want to fucking focus on. This is what we hyper-emphasize with this production, and we need you to bring that shit up to acknowledge it. And they themselves, this isn't some random group of people. These were handpicked people by way of Amazon, and they put it on their fucking channel for them to say that. Harsh reality. At what point does someone's naivety, being just straight up naive, become stupidity? Where we see the writing on the wall and you just choose to fucking ignore it because you want to hold out the last bit of hope. Lord of the Rings is no fucking different to what we've seen with these other franchises. They get them, hijack them, and they're so fucking narcissistic that they want to make it about them. They want to make it about whatever worldly bullshit it is that they're dealing with. Hell, the executive producer told you flat out, we wanted this to be more representative of the world that it is, that make it look more like the world that we live in right now, which couldn't be anything further from what the fuck Tolkien was trying to do. So they're telling you what this is about. It was the executive producer. They're telling you what this shit is about. There's no reason to give these guys the benefit of the fucking doubt. It's dead on arrival. They're leading with a bunch of bullshit that none of us give a shit about. This is all Tolkien fans don't give a shit about that. It's just far reaching. Nobody gives a shit about any of this nonsense, but that's what they wanted to hyper emphasize because that's what this shit's about. You know, you see this like death meme, right? Where he's going from door to door and you put all the franchises on each door. It feels that way because that's the way that it is. These guys cannot create. They can only destroy. That's the only thing that they can fucking do. And that's exactly what it is that they do. The difference, I think, now is that you have a bunch of people who, again, far more intelligent audience, I think it is that you're dealing with, but you have more people that are seeing this for what it fucking is because they didn't listen to us before. It was like we saw this shit happen with Marvel, DC, Star Wars, and this isn't anything new. The same thing that I'm saying about Lord of the Rings, I could literally point to a fucking video that I did 5 years ago that's literally me saying the same goddamn thing in terms of who are the people that are generally in control in terms of the creatives, and they're not folks that are passionate about this particular work. They're not people that go into it with the idea that, look, this isn't mine. I didn't create it. What the best I could do is honor it, take from it, acknowledge it, and give people the best adaptation that I could get that honors that. And that's what actual creative people are able to do. We want to tell our goofy ass fucking story, and we know that we can't tell it with our own characters, so we need to tell it based upon stuff that you can acknowledge and like, because that's the only way they can get butts in the seats. That's the only way they can get people to make a purchase. The only way they can get your viewership.
Do you remember this from the UK Superfans video?
If, like, Sauron is hot, I feel like people will be like, I can fix him.
What about this?
People are gonna fall in love with him and be like, I can change him.
Did you see it? Different times, different takes, different words, a different script. We don't even stroke the same ear during it. Just how overproduced and edited was this thing?
If, like, Sauron is hot, I feel like people will be like, I can fix him. People are gonna fall in love with him and be like, I can change him.
This was something he said that they liked so much they got him to act it out again, reshoot it and refilm it so they could put it at the start of the video. This means that Amazon was proud proud of it. They liked this comment so much, they wanted it front and center in their marketing. They wanted this soundbite so much, they were willing to get him to act it out like a character, like an actor from one of their TV shows. Can you imagine being so out of touch with your audience? In a world where people actually want truthful, honest, genuine reactions from real people, it amazes me how overproduced a fan reaction video has been. If you want to do something really fancy, that's what your trailer's for. But when it comes to actual fans, people want genuine reactions, genuine responses from real people. And I think what we've just seen proves that it's not. So join me as we go through the translations and confirm a lot of what I actually thought had gone on, but also find out things that, honestly, I'm amazed just weren't cut out of the video. And surprisingly, across all the videos, there were actually a couple of Tolkien fans. Despite Amazon's best efforts, a few of them snuck through the net. We start with Germany. As you can see, there's a lot of them. Multiple confirmations that they did watch it at least 3 times. I'm now beginning to wonder if that was actually 3 times per language, given by one of the Spanish comments. Also, this would fully explain why some of them looked completely and utterly bored during the actual 1-minute trailer themselves. They're like, I'm off, I'm kind of passing out, but I'm just about looking at my phone because I'm completely bored with this entire thing. Not only did they watch this trailer at 3 a.m, but they'd been drinking a lot, and suddenly on the screen is a load of footage they can't actually understand in different languages. During the intro sequence, they spoke about Hollywood and how they were essentially actors after the entrance sequence, so I think we can take that as confirmation that, yes, that first minute short kind of trailer was all fake. They're all completely and utterly directed because the good people in the German trailer admitted it for us. Next up, the translations say they were given a bottle of gin before the event, and then when they got there, like we found out in the UK trailer, but also confirmed in these, they had more cocktails when they were there. So much so that one of them actually wanted to piss in his medieval chalice. Yes, I think after comments like that, we can understand why in the UK trailer, there was a guy outside pissing up a wall. There were 5 rings of power. 1 for each race gets a ring. Yes. That would be the humans, the elves, the dwarves, Sauron, and the orcs. Yeah, the orcs get one in this. I kind of want to see that story. I'd love to know why the orcs needed one, but apparently we've given them one now. They want to see how all 5 of them were made, and then 4 of them were destroyed in this age. Because by the time you get to Lord of the Rings, there is, as everyone knows, only 1 ring. The Hans Zimmer soundtrack was really important to them, and they really wanted to do it again with this one. Apparently, according to one translator in the German one, they thought the rings were actually created by Saruman. I'll have a different twist to the story no one's expecting in the series if that turns out to be true. And when you've got Gandalf as a child in your series, and hobbits, what else do you want to see? That's right, Nazguls. They'd love to see Nazguls in the series, and let's face it, some of you may laugh, but this is Amazon, they'll probably find a way to put them in. Everyone that could speak German and watch that trailer regretted watching it, and one described it as Fremdschämen, which translates as second-hand embarrassment. So, yeah. It wasn't as bad as the UK one, not in the same way, but in the same right. Pain and suffering. Spain next, and instant controversy. The guy, second from the left, is apparently quite knowledgeable about Lord of the Rings. He's the only one among them that knows all the names and the places and everything else, and apparently read the Silmarillion multiple times. Other people say he gets everything wrong, so I can't say everything for sure. But the biggest issue for the Spain trailer is actually what's missing, or who's missing. There is a guy who's mentioned in my comments and in the Superfan video itself. If you just scroll through the comments, he's mentioned all over the place. It's just a load of people asking for him, because apparently he's a big Spanish YouTuber, Kai47, and he wasn't taken to this. He was invited to this, makes loads of Lord of the Rings content, and for some reason they didn't want to interview him. It's weird, isn't it? But overall, the Spanish one seemed to be the most normal. In fact, people even described the video as tolerable or bearable, which is certainly something no one's ever described the other ones as. Now, apparently these people in the Netherlands could speculate for hours, but everyone is glad that they just kept it to 6 minutes because they basically had nothing to say, and what they did say, everyone found embarrassing. So, just the same as all the other videos there. Now, they do say that they want the rings distributed to the men, the elves, the dwarves, and Sauron. They also hope that the hobbits get a ring, because in the movie trilogy, the hobbits had a ring of their own there, and so they want to see them have one here. So the most interesting part is where they say they would just love to see a female main character, and how that would be absolutely groundbreaking. Yes, you heard it here first, folks. Now, the interviewer, the person leading the actual group of them, says they believe this will be the case. And this is a video that's brought up in so many of the videos. And when it is, the person leading the group turns around and confirms it to them. Oh, yes, I think this will be shown from a female perspective. Yes, I think this will be the case. It's in so many countries, and it's all framed and put in the same way. Make of that what you will, but for me, I would say that you can probably expect to see your girl Galadriel as the key to everything. Italy next, and overall, these were quite complimentary. This was easily the most well-received out of every one of the videos. There are even comments about how at least 3 of them are fans and no Lord of the Rings. I know that's quite a low bar, but let's face it, it's one we haven't hit so far, and so I'll take whatever I can get at this point. But there is several comments about how they don't seem to be able to say anything negative, and when they did, everyone looks at them like they just farted, which is an interesting way of putting it, I thought. And there's multiple comments about how some of what they talked about seemed really forced, like they either didn't want to talk about it, or they focus on such a minute detail in a really over-the-top manner that none of it actually seems like a natural and normal conversation. Now, finally, France, the solo guy, Captain Popcorn, who for some reason stands out from all the other videos because they just decided to get him on his own to talk about it. I still think something went on there, but here we go. Overall, people are very complimentary, saying he's very knowledgeable and knows a lot about the law. While some people do say he's too optimistic, he does actually raise quite a few concerns about the show, which is unique among the videos largely, apart from maybe Italy as an exception. He raised concern about the compressed timeline, Meteor Man, and Galadriel climbing in armor, and also some about the poor quality action scenes that we saw in the little 1-minute trailer. And he apparently also didn't like The Hobbit. There were comments about how he seemed more genuine than the other people from the other videos, and how there were comments that this video seemed very oddly cut, something I commented on myself. There's an overlapping of his voices in places. It's not just cut a lot and very rapidly, but it's badly done. And some people theorize that this negative content was cut out from a larger video, so he may have gone further on some of the comments than we actually saw. So I think we can conclude that the UK video stands out like a sore thumb across all the others. They were the ones that pushed that message. They were the ones that went all the way down on it, and that is the video that got deleted when the other ones didn't mention it, and they're still up, regardless of their ratio or how disliked they were or what the comments were like. That was the main thing that stood out, and I still think that's why that got yeeted itself. The UK one even had certain intro sequences refilmed, reshot, just so they could get the perfect angle. It was incredibly overproduced, and, as we saw in the French trailer, the one which apparently seemed to have a lot of concerns about the show was also the shortest, and cut up. And those trailers were the most well-received because they had actual fans of Tolkien in it. It really does seem like if Amazon actually wants people to like the content they produce, they need to include Tolkien fans. Who would have guessed that one or seen that one coming, eh? Because the videos that didn't have any fans in them stood out like a sore thumb. People found them embarrassing and nobody wanted anything to do them. Doesn't sound like a great marketing push which is going to sell your billion-dollar TV show to me.
Whoever found this first, I don't know who it was, but shout out to you, whoever it was. This is pretty funny. As you can see, there's an arm right here. Let me rewind it a little bit so you can see a little bit more clearer. But there's an arm right here on the right side of the screen. It's pretty obvious, you can see it. And then they're gone right here on this shot. But you can see there's some warping going on. There's some weird stuff going on with the lights right where that guy would be. So they just completely edited that guy out. And it's very obvious that they did that. The warping is very blatant. It's very obvious. You can even see it in the paused frame. They blatantly edit out one of these Lord of the Rings super fans who were, I guess, getting an early screening of the Rings of Power trailer. And I wonder why that would be. Maybe they actually hired one person who's an actual super fan. If anyone knows who this guy is that got edited out, because he is in some of the other reactions, some of the other parts of the trailer. He's in there sometimes. He's reacting to the trailer. I don't know exactly where it is inside of this video, but maybe it's in a different video, but he was definitely seen reacting to the Rings of Power trailer, and at some points he wasn't really acting like the other people, but some points he was acting like the other people, so I don't know. I don't know exactly why they would be editing him out. What I was going to say is maybe they did hire an actual super fan, and he told them how it is. Maybe he told Amazon Lord of the Rings, look, I'm not feeling this. You know, I don't think it's that good. I think it's kind of contradictory to Tolkien's work. I don't think Tolkien would be happy with this. And I don't think the Tolkien fans are going to be happy with this either. Maybe he straight up told them that. And that's why they edited him out of this teaser trailer, this super fans review of the Rings of Power video. Maybe. This video is just embarrassing on so many levels. There's a guy peeing in the background right here, literally in the same frame as someone has edited out. You can see the obvious warping, and you can even see some of the guy's clothes. You know, there's little points right here where they edited him out and it just wasn't quite good enough. You can see him a little bit still right there. And on the right side of the screen, let me move it over a little bit so you can see, there's a guy peeing in the background. And I said this in my last video, right here on the right side of the screen. You can see him peeing in the background, man. He's obviously, you know, taking a piss in the background. And I just think it's so funny how little they care about this. Not only do they care little about the actual content that's being created with this Rings of Power show, but they also don't care about the marketing at all. They don't care about this super fans video. They hired just random people and told them to act like Lord of the Rings super fans, even though they don't discuss Lord of the Rings lore one time in this entire video. They only discuss the diversity, inclusion, and women being able to talk to each other finally and stuff like that. Just stupid stuff that no one cares about. No normal, you know, mentally healthy person thinks about on a daily basis. And they also just don't care about the marketing material outside of that.
Like walking through the fire ring, it was so cool.
No, 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 no.
Nerderotic.com. The 1-minute trailer and the rollout of The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, has been nothing less than an unmitigated disaster, and it's been glorious. Is it glorious because I wanted The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, which again just rolls off the tongue, to fail? Of course not. I wanted it to be the greatest show ever. I wanted it to be a proper adaptation of Tolkien, at least in the spirit. It didn't have to be word for word perfect, well, because it couldn't have been, but I was still rooting for it. But the powers that be at Amazon, including Jennifer Salk, who was confident that The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, would appeal to a giant global audience when it already has, or producer from Bad Reboot, Lindsay Weber, who said it needs to reflect the world of today, a fantasy. Then there's J.D. Payne and Patrick McKay, or Opie and Opie, who have set out to make a TV show that's supposed to be the book that Tolkien never wrote.
Sheer hubris.
No, Amazon will tell you that it needs to improve on the story written by J.R.R. Tolkien that has sold over 150 million copies, been translated into multiple languages, adapted into animated features that a generation grew up on, animated features that used to air on prime time here in America, and had 6 film adaptations that have grossed nearly $10 billion. No, it's not glorious that it appears Amazon has failed before they even began. It's glorious because the fans spoke up and they are clearly winning. The trailer for The Rings of Power, which is Amazon's crown jewel, and the featured video on their YouTube channel is getting ratioed into oblivion, and it ain't stopping. 144 dislikes to 103 likes. What? And the same goes for Amazon Prime UK, where the trailer is the featured video, and the ratio isn't stopping anytime soon. 54,000 dislikes to 23,000 likes. Unlisted videos, including the OneRing.net's trailer reaction, and who could forget and who will ever forget, the Superfans trailer reaction, which has been exposed for a great many things, including being completely fake.
If, like, Sauron is hot, I feel like people will be like, I can fix him. People are gonna fall in love with him and be like, I can change him.
Hold up, wait a minute.
That I'm sure they gave their genuine reactions to. Okay, maybe the guy taking a leak off to the side might be unique to the UK Superfans video.
Is that guy taking a piss over there? I think that's a guy in the corner taking a piss. Wait a minute.
Hail to YouTuber Jay Longbone for pointing that one out. Now, are we going to be able to actually change The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power? Of course not. They've already filmed season 1 and they're well into filming season 2. What this is going to be is a giant global message for giant global corporations. Now, Tolkien fans are hyper aware that Tolkien meticulously put together the secondary world and what that story was for. His country.
I was from early days grieved by the poverty of my own beloved country. It had no stories of its own, not of the quality that I sought, and found as an ingredient in legends of other lands. There was Greek, Celtic, Romance, Germanic, Scandinavian, and Finnish, which greatly affected me, but nothing English, save impoverished chapbook stuff. Of course there was and is all the Arthurian world, but powerful as it is imperfectly naturalized, associated with the soil of Britain, but not with English.
Amazon and its defenders are getting destroyed at every turn with their subversion of Tolkien's words and text. And you want to know why? It's because this isn't our first rodeo, and you messed with the wrong fandom. How can you judge something you haven't seen? Haven't seen this? Are you sure? Not necessarily in any order. Doctor Who Series 11, 12, and 13 with the first female Doctor played by Jodie Whittaker, The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi, The Rise of Skywalker, Terminator Dark Fate, Star Trek Discovery or STD, all of it, Picard, Captain Marvel, Birds of Prey, WandaVision, Loki, Black Widow, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Shang-Chi, The Eternals, Hawkeye, He-Man, The Last of Us Part 2, and I could go on. I can't imagine why this is happening.